of information. So all of the medical students, we have a Richmond elected, they can come and make this class, as well as other positions in Richmond at UT Southwestern. And then we have launched 2 years ago, I've been down in Redbird for a minute, the Culinary Medicine Clinical Service Line. Basically what that means is it's a hybrid program where you can come and meet with a doctor and a dietitian and talk about what's going on there personally with your health, what your goals are, and then you meet together in a teaching kitchen setting where you can use your insurance to get this hands-on cooking education along with all of your medical nutrition therapy. No one's, I don't get any big bucks. I don't get a check from anywhere other than my job. So that's what's going on. Just to show a picture of this. I know, we're good. I always like to talk about my physician partner who's obviously not here today. But we believe in a team approach. And that is a picture from one of our cooking classes at a church in Southern Dallas County that has partnered with us on cooking this. Okay, I gotta know. Who loves food?
It's all right. She said, who
So
loves food?
I'm sharing pictures. I was really fortunate last year with my daughter. I got to travel down to Mexico and celebrate the Day of the Dead celebration. Got to go to some amazing markets. We had some food tours. I love food. I love the texture, the smell. All of these things are fantastic. And I want to share this first before I have to talk about some bad news about food. Because to be honest and real, we can talk about how much we love food, but there's also the flip side that food is a source of stress for many of us. And sometimes there's a lot of confusion out there. So we always have to talk and address those issues first. So I'm going to move forward from this slide and say the fact of the matter is a poor diet is the number one reason why we die in this country. Number one factor. And then when we're talking about cancer, 4 out of every 10 cancer diagnoses are linked to diet and lifestyle. So moving forward from here, so some sciencey stuff, you can put it one more time. This is just I'm a researcher, I'm a scientist. I don't want to come in here and just spout facts without showing you. This is from a report called the U.S. Urban Disease Collaborators that came out in 2019. So you can see, I don't know if you can read that, the top 5, 3 of those top 5, in addition to dietary risks, arguably are also linked to diet. High blood pressure, obesity, and high blood sugar. And moving forward. So again, I promise, this is the most sciencey chart that I'm going to show you, but I just want to show you again, see on the left. That's, you can see the red, that means it's the most impact. So diet's high in salt, diet's low in whole grains, low in fruits, low in nuts and seeds. This is where the problem is. This is where the problem is. Okay. I like to focus on solutions. Okay? So can we all agree diet's important? Right? So there's opportunity for change. So we're coming back to this slide again. I want you to look at it from a different frame of view. So other than the first bullet, which is diet's high in salt, what do we see in common, if you can read that, with all of the other things in that red box?
High sodium.
Right?
Wait.
Anything else we notice the commonality? What's a word that it keeps coming up? Low in whole grains. Low.
Oh, low.
Okay, so let's talk about the good news list. Sometimes the message is, don't eat that. Don't eat that. That's bad. What's a bad food? I can't have that. My favorite food, I can't have it. The good news is, folks, it's not what we're eating that gets us into trouble. It's what we're missing. So are there opportunities to add something in to what we like right now to improve our health and wellness? So that's what I want to celebrate now. So we have 3 fantastic recipes we'd like to show you. And listen, my little chef heart says, I hope you fall in love with this recipe or that. But I want you to be thinking as we move into the demonstrations, what is something that I enjoy right now that I could add? Could I use some of those techniques to add that food that's going to help help me live a healthier life. All right, moving forward. Let's talk about cancer. When I'm talking to folks about cancer risk, it's always really important. First, we're not talking about cancer-proof diet. Cancer is always cancer risk reduction diet. Meaning, we know about 40% of cancer is linked to diet and lifestyle, but we know 60% we don't know. Or it's factors that are outside of our control. Your genetics, your race, viruses you might be exposed to, or your environment. We do not live in a perfect world. So what I tell people, yes, there are things that we can do that we know lower our risk, but we cannot cancer-proof our life. The reason why that's important is a lot of times when folks have a cancer diagnosis, I don't know if cancer has touched anyone in this room, you or somebody you love, likely, yes. There's a lot of blame and a lot of shame that happens when you get a cancer diagnosis, or any diagnosis that is linked to diet or lifestyle. Was it my fault? What did I do? Tell me what I did so I can make my life perfect. It's like driving a car, folks. Driving a car, especially in Texas, is just part of, we have to drive. Driving is part of life. We have to eat. Eating is part of life. You get in a car, you want to reduce your risk of getting into a car accident. There are a lot of things that we know statistically lowers your risk. Wearing your seatbelt. Don't text and drive. Follow the rules of the road. There's all of these rules, right? But does that mean you can't control the other drivers, right? You could get rear-ended by a semi even when you do all the things right. Same thing with food. You can do everything right and still get cancer. But you can control your risk. You can reduce that risk. So I do like to always make that distinction because it's important. All right, moving forward. So let's talk about what we're advocating here. Who's familiar with the Mediterranean diet? Okay. What do we know about, what have you heard about the Mediterranean diet?
That is good, because my husband is diabetic, so they said that it's good for his diabetes, good for lung, his blood pressure.
Yeah. So a Mediterranean diet pattern is, it's associated with lowering your risk of things like inflammation, obesity. It helps with lowering your blood pressure. It's also especially helps managing your blood sugar as well. What else? I saw a couple of hands over here. What else do we know about Mediterranean diet?
It's high in protein.
Yeah, there's great proteins there, plant proteins, lots of fish. So there's lots of opportunities to get protein, right? What else? I saw your hand up. Did you have a question? I'm sorry. That's okay. She was affirming what she said. So a Mediterranean diet pattern, we're going to talk about what that means. It's a wide variety of fruits, nuts, vegetables, less reliance on red meat and processed meat. No, I'm sorry. No, it's okay. I don't think I pointed it. I think I went like this. Like, why is this not? I'm fixing lunch. I'm doing it. So you can see this is what we want. So vegetables, fruits, every day we want to try. Nuts, seeds, whole grains, looking for more opportunities to get fats from plants, unsaturated fats, legumes. I hope you like legumes. Anybody know what a legume is? Beans, lentils, yes. So less bread and red meat and poultry. And red meat is not discouraged, but de-emphasized. And I know we live in the beef belt, so we can talk a little bit more about that. We also, if you are running a cancer-fighting diet, and again, I promised I'm learning to focus on what can we add, but I do need to talk about two specific food groups that are directly linked to cancer risk and cardiovascular risk. And that is processed meats. So what do we mean by for processed meats? That's like breakfast sausage, bacon, lunch meats. These meats that are processed with a lot of extra salt, and they have other additives. Now, do I occasionally have bacon? Yes, I have to be honest with you. But if you are looking to reduce your risk, is there an opportunity to make a switch so it's a pleasure food that's not a part of your daily diet? Because the risk is pretty clear. Does it go for turkey bacon? Turkey, if it's a processed turkey bacon, usually when we're talking about bacon or sausage, they are cured or smoked. Cured or smoked meats part of it, including that. So that's going to include your brisket, your barbecue, that kind of thing. Okay. These should be sometimes foods. Or is there an opportunity instead of 2 pieces of bacon on your plate, could you have half a piece of bacon and then add in some other things? So the bacon is just a flavoring, it's not a main feature of your meal. So that's why I say just it's an opportunity to think about that. Does that mean if you choose to eat bacon or other, that if you eat these kinds of things that it's negated? Absolutely not. You're getting all of this benefit. You don't have to eat perfectly to improve your health. That in there is when we're talking about alcohol. If you choose to drink, we recommend no more than 1 drink a day for women, 2 drinks a day for men. At the most, if you choose to drink, but there is no safe amount of alcohol when we're talking, especially women, for breasts, and then both men and women for colorectal cancer. Really strong risks. So I didn't feel like that would be a service if I didn't point that out today. All right. So let's talk about fiber. I hope you're open to eating more fiber. Because we'll be talking about that. Most of us only get about half of what we need. And where do we find fiber? Fiber is only found in plant food. So we want some of the benefits you can see there. It's going to help digestive health. Well, I know we've got a room of adults, but especially our kids. Our kids are struggling with constipation. It's one of the most common complaints that you hear folks come in, and I'm talking about their diet and things people don't want to talk about. But it can really make your life uncomfortable in a lot of ways. So if you want to focus on regularity without taking supplements or laxatives, that's a great way to do it. It also will help keep your gut microbiome healthy. Our gut microbiome is, we have hundreds of different species of little critters that are doing great things in our gut. We're still studying what all of those benefits are, but they need food. It's called substrate. They need their preferred diet. All of those different species have different preferred foods that they like, only plants. So we want to give them lots of variety and lots of dietary fiber. Anybody have high cholesterol? We want soluble fiber. It helps us lower our cholesterol. It also, sometimes you don't feel full or satisfied with your meal. Add more dietary fiber. One of the big things that I address in my clinic is, hey, I'm not really looking to, I'm not really thinking about heart disease. I'm not really thinking about cancer. But what I do have in the afternoon, about 2 or 3 o'clock, I have a real energy slump. I said, well, let's take a look at the quality of carbohydrates, the quality of your fiber at your midday meal. Is there an opportunity to improve that so you can have more energy? That's what they care about. I'm here to talk about what they care about. Like, they don't really want to talk about their triglycerides. They're like, oh, hey, if I can get more energy in the afternoon, I can have it. We already talked about cancer, yes, where it comes from. We want 25 to 36 grams a day. Women, 25 grams. Gentlemen, 36. All right, move forward. So let's talk about practical. We've made a lot of recommendations. What can this look like for you in your own home? So, especially, I don't know if you went, COVID, this crazy things to our grocery supply. Anybody remember the snow apocalypse? I hate to bring it up. Hopefully, those days are behind us. We had people went to the grocery store in panic box, right? About 30% of folks here, they just don't know what to do in the grocery store. They feel overwhelmed, they feel like they spend too much money, and then that can translate to a lot of food waste, right? So how can you build a pantry? Doesn't have to be a huge big bunker, but how can you have a collection of food at your disposal? It's going to help you save time, and it's definitely going to help you save money, and how can that also improve your diet? So let's take a look at some of the staples, and we're going to be using some of those in our demonstrations today. So when we're talking about stocking a pantry, start with proteins. So canned meat like canned tuna or canned chicken. You can find those that don't have extra salt added to them. That's going to be the best option. Canned or dried beans. Like I said, lentils. Lentils and beans are a big part of what we offer here. And then peanut butter. Peanut butter has, it's calorically dense, but it also has a lot of nutrition factors in it too. We've got the whole grain suggestion here, brown rice, or tortillas, we're going to be using them, whole grains. Nuts and nut butters, I already mentioned. Looking for no or low salt varieties. The peanut butter that encourage it. If you like nut butter, it should be a stir option. You don't have to refrigerate it, but when you're stirring it, the no stir options, they use a really low quality oil, and they usually have a lot of extra additives. So if you have the option, Smucker's has a peanut butter. They sell it at Walmart. They sell it at Kroger. By the way, everything that I recommend in my classes, if you can't buy it at Walmart or Kroger, I don't offer it. Because healthy food can and should be affordable. And it tastes. All right, move forward. Canned tomatoes. We went back. You can make all sorts of things with canned tomatoes. Vinegar. Vinegar is as an acid. It also replaces salt on the tongue. So when we're talking to people about reducing salt, we have to be very honest and say, if you are accustomed to eating restaurant food or a lot of salt, it's going to be an adjustment, and it is normal to say, hey, I can't really taste the food unless I add a lot of extra salt. There's a lot of things that can damage our taste buds. Salt is one of those. So know that it's a gradual process. Those taste receptors turn over about every 2 weeks, so they will recover really quickly, and then you'll start noticing, hey, I can taste the sweetness of that bell pepper. I appreciate the flavor of this. It's a process, and we can get there. But vinegar can help, because it has an acid, a little squeeze of lemon, a little squeeze of lime, or some vinegar can brighten things up, and it kind of mimics salt on the tongue. So vinegar is great. When you're looking to pull back on salt, I say start investing in vinegars. Oils, now I've talked about oil. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about oil. I know you've heard about seed oils. Seed oils are bad. Seed oils are scary. Most people, about 95% of the omega-6 seed oil that we get in our diet comes from restaurants, where they're putting the fries in that. You've got fried chips, whatnot, damaging that oil. Let's focus on eliminating that. And don't worry so much about the teaspoon of oil that you choose to put in your food to flavor it the way you want. The oil that we use at home is not the problem. The seed oil in restaurants that gets overheated and pushed past the smoke point again and again and again, that's the problem. So when people say, well, what oil is healthiest? I said, use a small amount of whatever oil you have access to. If you don't need a lot, just a little bit, and cooking at home, you're going to get so many more benefits. So we get so distracted sometimes in this country, get on social media and people are fretting about this or fretting about that. It's kind of like worrying about your busted tail light when your transmission is shot, about to fall out of the bottom of the car, right? So does that mean the broken tail light is no concern? Great. If the rest of your car is in shape and you choose to eat something else, go for it. But don't let it distract you from what's truly important. We've also got canned oils and then spices. I'm a spiceaholic. I like a lot of spice, so I use that. And then also, I don't talk about it here, a lot of people think about your frozen foods area, your freezer, as part of your pantry. You can also stock a lot of things there as well. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. All right. Legumes. We mentioned it before. We really, really like beans. And we're talking about cardiovascular health. People, there was a great study that demonstrated if you are eating serving 1 cup of cooked beans at least 3 times a week, demonstrated that you reduce your risk of cardiovascular disease by up to 40%. So, and this is something, how can you add that in? So I always say, if you don't eat a lot of plant foods right now and you're wanting to incorporate those, start slowly and build up. Don't go from 0 to 60. You might have your body needs time to adjust. Your microbiome needs time to adjust. If you eat a large salad and you're like, hey, my tummy doesn't feel so good, that is normal. Because your body doesn't have all of the microbiome activity to break that down effectively. So maybe scale back and slowly introduce. If you have canned beans, sometimes we might have some distress. P.S. It's normal. We don't want to talk about, the byproducts of our digestive system, but when you're adjusting, that's very normal. But if you rinse those beans, you might notice there's bubbles coming up. That's the gas that would alternatively be, and that also can rinse off extra salt if you have salt there. You can, I like using canned beans because they're relatively inexpensive and convenient, but could you buy it dry and cook it? Absolutely. And then I do like to freeze dishes, especially like this one that I'm going to show you here in just a moment. Freeze it. All right, okay. All right. You do have this recipe in front of you, by the way. Another thing you do have in front of you, I mentioned the Mediterranean diet. As we're moving through that, I talked about a few of the categories, but on the back of that flyer, folks, are amounts, suggested amounts for optimum health as part of the Mediterranean diet. So I'm going to show you how to get some of those deliciously. This is, as I mentioned, our most popular recipe that we've done. Ashley has cooked this with our patients a few times. So I'm going to walk you through this. I'm also going to talk to you about some basic knife skills, knife safety, and moving forward. Getting my pan hot. Now, this is a step. This is a vegetarian chili. Could you add ground turkey to this? Absolutely. Chili to you means meat. You could totally add that in. Recipe is not a Bible. It's just a starting place. So make it work for you. You like more spice in your chili? Go for it. You want less? Go for it. You don't like those peppers? Could you put something else in it? Absolutely. So when I'm teaching people to cook, one of the first things I want to tell them is to make any pan non-stick, we want to heat the pan usually over medium to medium-high heat. And I say engage your senses. You can also get a little bit of water. There it is. You put it right in front of me. She's doing great. So if you're not sure if your pan is hot, that might be just a little bit too hot. So what it should do is spill across the top, right? Before I add my oil, I want my pan warm. So I'm going to add just a little bit of oil. I'm going to move that around. So when you put it in, if it's smoking too hot, that's literally pushing it past its smoke point. It's not going to be that tasty. But it kind of shimmers and spreads. That's good. Now I'm going to quickly get my onion ready here. I do recommend that you don't do what I do. You cut it first. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. I like to save when I'm chopping vegetables like onions, bell peppers, celery, carrots. I like to save those skins in a plastic bag and keep it in the freezer, and then when the bag is full, guess what I'm going to do with that? Anybody have a guess? Vegetable stuff. Yes, okay. All right. You put one in. Ooh, that's a good sound. That's a good sound right there. Okay, so I've got a little bit of onion. I'm going to pull that heat down just a little bit. See how there's just a little bit of popping in there? We want to avoid popping. Popping usually means it's too hot. Popping means the water is evaporating really fast. We don't want that. We want it to saute, we want it to sweat the onion. Anybody heard that term before, sweating onion? We want to build, because we're going to build the flavor. When you take onion with a little bit of fat like that, that is, we're going to work on creating something called sofrito. Anybody heard of sofrito before? Ooh, that onion is serious. It's not lying around. All right. So that's just a little bit of softener in there. When you're making vegetarian food, you want to take a little bit of extra time in the beginning to soften your vegetables, which is infusing them with flavor. You can also add your spices at this time. So what I've added here, that was some diced sweet potato. And I'm telling you, when I make this chili, I don't peel my sweet potato. I stay with it straw. What would the benefit be? Well, there's a couple of benefits. What would the benefit be of not peeling?
The vitamins.
There's a vitamin top.
So you have extra fiber. Yeah, I'm going to cover this for just a moment, folks, while this cooks. There we go. I can hear myself a little bit better. You get that extra fiber and not throwing it away. Now that's totally up to you. You know, like if I'm making a nice salad, I might want to peel my carrot just for to see if it's pretty, but why throw food away? If you do choose to peel your carrots, you can put that peeled carrot into the stock bag. All of your like little ends of your celery, the not pretty stuff you can throw in there and it makes really good stuff. Now if you want to try the vegetable stock idea, I would say there's a few things you don't want to put in that bag. I don't like glossy vegetables. vegetables that play nicely with others. So we think about, parsley will be good, but cilantro is a little bossy. I love cauliflower, I love broccoli, but they can get a little, they get bossy in the dish sometimes. There's a few things like the membranes, the insides of the pepper seeds, they're just a little too strong and they can make your broth better. But your celery, I'll put like little pieces of tomato in that bag, carrots, onion. Onions, celery, and carrots are the foundation vegetables of French cuisine. Anybody know what they call that when we cook that up?
You said onion, celery, and carrots.
Onion, celery, carrots. Mirepoix. In New Orleans, they have another version of that, but they take out the celery and add in green bell pepper. Anybody heard of that? They call it the Holy Trinity. And when people tell me that vegetables don't taste good, if only vegetables taste good, I would eat more. I said it's lack of cooking education. Because when you go to Spain, you go to Puerto Rico, you go to New Orleans, you go to France, you go to Italy, they all know that a little bit of fat, whatever's culturally available, and these vegetables cooked together slowly in the beginning of your dish, that's the beginning of a delicious sauce, of delicious braised beef. If you go shopping in Italy and you buy a nice cut of beef, they will put in celery and onion and carrot because they assume you know that's going to make that taste better. That's just part of it. So I would say, respectfully, we have not done a great job as chefs showing people that vegetables, how many people have been scarred by a boiled Brussels sprout? We've all been. It's a vegetable, plain, boiled, whatever on the side, has been a punishment for America's children for years.
Yes.
Before you get something delicious, you got to eat that.
It's like, ugh.
I don't want to. All right. So I'm softening the sweet potato and the onion together. So the next thing I'm going to give them. That's all right. We'll keep it really spicy. All right. So I'm going to show you another trick. Chopping up a bell pepper. Because I used to always chop up a bell pepper right down the middle, right? Okay. By the way, knife skills, when I'm holding a chef's knife, if you want to go in your culinary school, they teach you. You take your index finger, your pointer finger, and your thumb, and you hold it in a chef's grip. So right there where the blade meets the handle, and then you wrap your other three fingers around. That's a good grip, right? So if I want to cut an onion, if I want to cut a bell pepper, I want to have a nice, stable surface. If this was on a slip counter, you can take a slightly down paper towel or a kitchen towel, and you can put that underneath, and then it won't slide around, so it's safe. Another thing I want to point out, when I'm holding with my other hand, I curve my knuckle. What does this do?
Catch the seed. Grip.
Yeah, you have a nice grip, and then you also. I don't like y'all. We don't want to have to call 911 today. I don't want you to have to see that. So I cut off the edge of the bell pepper, and then I'm going to flip it over so it's safe down here. I cut off another edge, cut off another edge, cut off another edge, and then I cut off the bottom. And that'll allow us clean. Thank you. Thank you for being impressed.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
You can do this too. Thank you.
I'm going home. I'm buying all the bell peppers today.
Yeah.
Anybody want bell peppers tomorrow?
Okay, that's it. So it's getting a little bit of browning. Make sure I check that temperature there.
This is on YouTube, by the way, on Truly's YouTube. You want to go back and watch it?
Oh, okay, yeah. Speaking of YouTube, I do have a YouTube cooking channel.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Put it out there.
It's called Cooking with Milette.
I love it.
Alright. It has a lot of homemade videos made by me during COVID in my own kitchen. So
I love it. I'm about to
if you
check
want
it
to see
out.
me cutting up onions, talking about produce, I have my strawberry salsa recipe. I really like that.
I'm about to check it out.
Check it out, check it out. Check it out. There we go. But yeah, I'm just chopping up this red bell pepper here. It smells really good. This is a good bell pepper though. I don't know if y'all can smell it. Thank you, ma'am. I love it too. So when I'm cutting bell pepper, the outside, I call this a plank. Like this, put a little bit of oil on this, put it on the grill, when we're talking about, I know we're not quite there, but hey, this is Texas, it can be 90 degrees next week, we don't know.
It will be.
Oh, shit.
Almost. It will be.
Just wait a few hours. Yeah, just wait a few hours.
2 weeks after that, another
Right.
Snow.
That's our Texas Bible.
Absolutely.
My mama says, she says the reason why the weather in Texas is so crazy is because y'all is crazy and need to behave. So there's just something but y'all are fighting over some things.
Just a little bit.
Okay. Sometimes mom knows things.
Yeah.
Sometimes mom knows things. All right. So I'm going to cut this up. I have a little bit extra. Anybody want some red bell pepper? Have you got time for it? Okay. I'm going to put that right there in front if you want to come and grab it. Do it. All right. Ooh, I know. Okay, y'all. Oh, y'all have gloves. I didn't put them on. I wash your hands up. I promise. Okay, so looking good. So I'm going to add in this red bell pepper. And you can get some fancy tools to move your food around. But I often use the back of my knife. On your cutting board, you want to keep your knife sharp. To help keep your knife sharp, a sharp knife is safer than a dull knife, right? And it's not
Absolutely.
fun. So when you're moving things around on your cutting board, don't use the sharp side. That dulls your blade. Flip it over and use the dull side here. I'm going to throw that all over there. Or you can use your hands like I was using. Because that's real. All right. I also diced up a yellow bell pepper. I'm going to chuck that in there. Let that cook for another few moments. So this chili has lots of color already. So we're going to talk a little bit later when I turn the time over to Ashley about the importance of different color and why we want, Grandma said eat the rainbow, she was right. Grandma might not have had the science, but we do know that a lot of the benefit that we get from fruits and vegetables comes in the form of phytonutrients or plant nutrients. And the color is often indicative of what nutrient is in that plant. So we are still learning the science of, I can't go, Tamara, hey, you have this family history, so I need you to eat this color, and this color. The best thing to do to get a wide variety of benefit from all these nutrients, make sure you're getting, you don't have to have every color on every plate, but that's a great goal, maybe, if you want to set a goal for yourself for today. How am I doing on color? Do I want to pay attention over the next week? Say, hey, I am killing it with green and yellow, but I don't really get very many red or purple vegetables. Is there an opportunity, is there a fruit or vegetable that I can add in to my plate? So a great specific goal would be, I'm going to add in one new color a week. I'm going to add in one new color to my plate.
The colors also make your eyes pop.
The color does?
Yeah, when you're looking at the plate, you look at the food as when you're seeing
Oh,
like
yes,
on the
I understand what you're saying.
yeah, it makes your eyes pop. Yes, it
Because
is very
you start
enticing.
appreciating, you talk about flavor.
Yes.
Flavor is not just, the perception of taste is not just the flavor of food. It's your visual, like, oh, it's so appealing,
Yeah.
I love that, it looks so good.
You eat with your eyes.
Yes. Just come on. I'm
Okay,
giving my
Chef
Kim
Kim is coming.
She's like, how many jobs do I need?
I know, right? I'll do it.
By the way, can we give it up for our amazing, she's done all the audio, she's done a great job. Okay, so I'm about ready to get serious. So the thing that I like about this, why do I like teaching this? It's all in one pot.
Yes.
And there is some chopping, but you can make this completely no chop if you wanted to. Over in the frozen food section, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the benefits. You've got like sweet potatoes already cut up cubes. You can buy them like that. You can buy peppers. I'm going to show you, we're going to do with some frozen ones over there. What's little? She got it at the bottom. Well, we got to work. Here we go. We've got some garlic in there. I've got some diced, we're going to use some of this jalapeno. All of this you can buy frozen already cut up. So we're going to let that cook. We've got tomato sauce here. And you might know what's coming. Beans. So I've drained and rinsed some black beans and some kidney beans. But, you know, you can make that work with whatever you have. You have pinto beans, you like pinto beans, you can change it up. Beans are a great way to not only add fiber and nutrition, they are a great, they can make your dollar go farther.
Yes.
And they are very nourishing, and they are very satisfying, and they help contribute to like the readiness here. So I also can't forget spice, because a lot of people think healthy food is
Bland.
like, that's some more spices. So in here I've got chili powder, I've got cumin, and what else? I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. All right. So we're going to move on, but I'm going to let this kind of simmer and do its own thing. Hopefully it's going to start smelling really, really good.
Can I look at it?
Absolutely. This is y'all's time. Yeah, if you want to come up and take a look at this chili. So you've got lots and lots of color. You've got orange, you've got yellow. You can do different rainbow peppers in there. Yes.
Let me
yes,
get a
ma'am.
picture right quick.
Yeah, take a picture. I'm going to do it one at the end. I'll put it in a bowl and make it look all pretty with garnishing. Because that's,
It smells good.
all right. So I'm going to put a lid on that. And I'm going to move
Right, I
this
was
over
thinking, do we have some?
a bit. There we go.
bowls?
Now, I'm going to tell you, it is not on your ingredient sheet. The smoked paprika, so good. When you are trying to convince people that they don't need to have meat in every single dish, you have to recognize that meat tastes good. Meat is rich in something called umami. Umami is the taste of savory. It literally translates to yum in Japanese. It's true. So we have to add
Yum yum
things.
sauce.
We have to have techniques like you're sauteing those bell peppers, that's building umami there. And then spices like cumin, chili powder, and smoked paprika. Paprika and smoked paprika are two different things. Smoked paprika is delicious. I don't know if y'all are not familiar with smoked paprika and you want to smell it, I'll let y'all pass it around. It's delicious. All right. You don't have to smell it if you don't want to. All right. So that's the chili, folks. We're going to, okay, if you will progress, Tamara, to our next slide. All right. So I don't know if you want to do this side. Oh, I can. Sure.
I'm a big snacker, so snacks are my thing. So when we're talking snacks, I feel like the easiest thing, everyone's kind of munching on fruit, so like that obviously is a perfect thing to, implement as a snack. But let's say, we want to add a little something extra, so instead of just having, the banana, we can put some peanut butter with it, so then you're also adding some healthy fats and some protein to it, and kind of giving yourself like a full, balanced snack in a way. And I think that's the biggest thing, is just really focusing on making sure that we're balancing snacks and not just focusing on, well, I'm just gonna eat some lunch meat and some cheese, or I'm just gonna eat some crackers, I'm just gonna grab a handful of nuts. Like, really focusing on like, how can I pair this with something else to really make sure that I'm hitting, making sure I'm getting my protein, my fats, and a carbohydrate to really help balance that digestion, making sure that everything, is really coinciding and digesting properly. It also helps if you're just having a carbohydrate to get more, if say, I know shit that has diabetes. If we're just having carbs, like you're immediately jumping in and dumping that sugar right into your system. But if you pair, your carbohydrate with fat and protein, it slows that digestion of that sugar down. So you're not going to have those huge insulin spikes. You're not going to have, that instantaneous rush. For like on here, boiled eggs, you could do salt and pepper with that, and then add, let's say, probably some crackers or carrots or grapes. These are good. Kind of that using guacamole, yum. Yogurt and berries. Also, you can add some granola or like, let's say, some kind of Cheerios or something like that to give it a little crunch. Texture is obviously a big thing too when it comes to snacks. Apples and peanut butter, my personal favorite. And roasted nuts. So with nuts, the big thing is making sure that we're focusing on making sure that we don't have a bunch of salt, so salt-free. Trail mix is fine. Portion sizes is the big thing when it comes to something like that. So our nutrition label and really focusing on having that fourth of a cup of the nuts and not
Oh,
whole entire bowl. I think that's the important part too.
I think that's the important thing that I want to highlight that we talk about. You know, sometimes when we need a snack right now, and if you don't have a plan, you know, that drive-thru is looking really good, or that snack machine. So having a plan in advance helps you save money and helps you make food decisions that are meaningful to you and help you meet your goals. All right, moving on. So I don't want to, by the way, this is actually Thursday, so I kind of threw in some lines in here. Not that y'all are fine. But I promised that I wasn't going to do more sciencey, but I do want to point out, because sometimes people think, oh, you know, the only important thing is getting my protein in, and protein is very important. But let's make sure when we're, you know, I always say when you're choosing a diet, choose to follow a diet, you know, obviously when I have a patient comes in and I say, if that's the plan you want to follow, hey, let's do it. Tell me, how can I be of help? But I always like to point out that every serving of fruits and vegetables, we looked at this quality study, for every serving you can see mortality goes down, that's that down slide there, 2 servings, the number at the bottom, 2 servings, 4 servings, it kind of maxes out about 6 or 7 servings. So when we say a serving, what do we mean? So when we're talking about fruit, that's a half a cup of a fruit cocktail, or a small lemon of orange, or a half a banana, right? Vegetables, a serving, so if you have leafy greens that are raw, that's probably about a cup and a half. But you know, like anybody ever taken spinach and cooked it down, cooked vegetables about a half a cup. So you can see 2, like a cup. So that translates to like 2 cups of vegetables a day. More details are on that. But this is the science that we make our recommendations upon. So every serving counts. You don't have to be perfect, but even if you can just add 1 more serving in, it makes a difference. All right. We talked about Eat the Rainbow, and now Ashley is going to show us a great way to do that with snacks. So we're going to pull over that. Oh, wait, no, I lied. Okay. Come on, come on. No, you got it. Keep going. Sorry, I thought that's on me. So we talked about frozen produce. A lot of people think I have to have fresh fruits or vegetables. When we're talking about nourishing, frozen works just as well as fresh. So when you're purchasing, we want to look for opportunities, you know, avoiding extra sugars, extra sauces. That works great for both fruit and vegetables. And we have some great topping suggestions, like we've got that yogurt. Having a bag of frozen fruit makes you much more likely to use it before it goes bad. About 40% of the fruits and vegetables Americans purchase end up in the trash before we even have an opportunity to eat it. That's wasting money, and it's not nutrition until you eat it. So I love having frozen as an option. All right. Now it's Ashley's time. Thank you, Ashley.
I haven't put gloves on, so don't try this.
Yes, very good. Put in those gloves.
Yes, safety first.
I love it that you learn these things from me.
I said, do as I say, not as I do.
Oh.
I think too, to go back with like what Milette was saying with the canned foods and frozen stuff, I think the big thing that people don't, like it's not common knowledge, and I've been learning until I was in school, obviously, is that those things are picked at their peak freshness. So you're getting them, like they're being picked, they're being canned, they're being frozen, flash frozen, like when you're at their peak. So you're still getting all the, you know, nutrients and stuff that you would get in, let's say, like a fresh tomato that's in season versus like when it's frozen. So that's more you know. Do y'all like salsa?
Yes.
I mean, you live in Texas, right? Okay, so I'm gonna make black bean salsa. So beans.
We warned you.
Yeah. Milette's, I guess I can call it your best friend, right, Dr. B?
I'm Dr. Van Beaver. Dr. Van Beaver is she teaches culinary medicine and nutrition at TCU. She was the head of the department when I was there, and she's still there, but she's a big believer in this movie, and I learned a lot. So yes, Dr. Van Beaver.
She's
my dear friend.
My mentor, but she's always like, eat your beans, eat your beans. And I'm like, that always is stuck in my head every time you say that.
Okay, I have favorite.
All right. Does anybody know how to cut up a mango? No? So, mangoes aren't in season right now. Mangoes are are more of a summer, like, fruit. So these are a little hard, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you all how to. So there's a pit in the middle of these, right? How I cut a mango is I always cut the bottom of it first, because again, we want that flat surface. And then I go either side. Turn. And then you'll see here, there's the pit right here in the middle. So, and then I'll cut. It's give or take. Mangoes, I love them. I think they're so yummy, but you don't really get a whole lot of fruit out of them. It's the only downfall.
She's doing her best with the regular bar.
Yeah. So I like to score these, and I can't do it how I would normally do it at home, but I just take it, cut my little lines, and then put it this way. This is not really pretty because this mango is not very poor, but, so then you have it like this. If I was at home, I would have a glass cup, and I would just take the bottom of it and push down, so it would just come right off of it. Here you can take your knife and just kind of go down. So that get those little nice pieces. So, they can be interesting.
Yeah, if it's ripe enough, you can invert it. Oh, it's not bad.
Not too bad.
This also looks really pretty, and you'll feel really fancy with that. It's really pretty good. It is really fancy. So we were sharing, if you have a peach or a mango, or any seed fruit like that, and then you buy it and you're like, this is just not ripening enough. You can do a couple of things. One, you can put it in a paper bag on the windowsill. That'll help the gas that helps the fruit ripen. But if you're like, it's still not working for me, or you're impatient, grill it. Putting it on the grill, it helps convert some of the starches that haven't quite made it to the natural fruit sugar yet, and it makes it a lot sweeter, and it will soften it up. So that, if we had a grill with us, I would grill this mango for you and add that in.
Okay, so now I'm dicing this onion up, so the recipe only calls for a quarter. And this mango that we're using is thawed frozen mango, so practicing what we're preaching.
Ashley is using a white onion for this. If you have the option, folks, when you're making salsa, white onion gives you the texture. You like a lot of different variety of texture, so it gives that kind of crunch, that crispness. Will yellow onion work? Absolutely. But, we had a white onion, so I just threw that in.
I think purple onion would be really great too.
I
love purple onion.
And add that color. Next time I'll let you choose your own onion.
Deal. Alright. Who likes tomatoes? Yes? Salt and pepper.
Open the
cherry
cherry tomato. I mean, when I was growing up, cherry tomatoes, there was one option. Now you go to the Star and you've got, there's like 6 different options for cherry tomatoes, right?
I prefer them to be cooked. I like them like salsa or pico.
So when we're talking about umami, canned tomatoes, cooked tomatoes are richer. It gives you a little bit more of that yummy flavor base. Does that mean raw or bad? No, absolutely not. Just sometimes you want different textures, different flavors that whatever food you're adding with. So cooked tomatoes are just fine. Could you use canned tomatoes? in this recipe? What do you think, Ashley?
I think so, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we can make it convenient. Again, we're showing you some different skills, how to chop it up yourself. But did you use, like we used frozen mango earlier? Yeah, absolutely. Nice, nice work.
I worked for the best. Milette was so gracious to go ahead and put, so here is the lime juice, the red wine, like she had said earlier, it's boosted that acid, salty taste. And then we have the cumin, the olive oil, the salt, and the pepper. This is going to be like kind of our dressing, in a sense. And then we have our beans. Stir.
So how do you serve this, Ashley?
I mean, you could do whole grain scoops. That would probably be what I would go for. You could even do like cucumber chips. Like if you wanted some like another fresh option, I would think that would be really good and hydrating. You could do a whole wheat tortilla.
I'm going to be making something next, and I think this would be a perfect topper for.
Oh.
But I like to put this on top of like grilled fish, grilled chicken, serving with chips. You know, sometimes you go to a church barbecue, you're going to an event where you have to bring a dish. And sometimes, you know, on social media, if you bring something healthy, you're like, oh, here comes Linda with her healthy food in the morning. But I guarantee something like this, or, you know, like a cowboy caviar, anybody heard familiar with cowboy caviar? There's no caviar in it, it's just vegetables and black-eyed peas or black beans. And I've never had, I have patients who are just, wow, they're like, nobody complains about me bringing food, I bring it with chips, so like there is chips. But again, you're getting all of those beans, all those vegetables, really delicious. And I bet this tastes even better tomorrow. So very nice. All right. Can you share some of the nutrition facts I know that you had highlighted?
Yeah, so the things that I thought were really interesting for a serving. So this has 4 grams of dietary fiber. There's actually 3 grams of protein in it as well. And there's only 1.5 grams of total fat. So you're getting a low fat and 13 carbohydrates. Obviously that's coming from the fruit and the vegetables and beans. But you're getting, 4 grams of fiber, 3 grams of protein, no hardly any fat. So, and it's 80 calories. So depending on if you splurge and go for, a serving of chips, you could have some more carbohydrates, or if you're wanting to go for a fresher option and have some zucchini chips or cucumber chips or whatever it may be.
Great. Well, thank you. All right, we're going to move on. We got one last demonstration. So let's talk about 24 pinch per time. So we're going to move. There we go. Okay, we've been talking a lot about grains, whole grains, and carbohydrates. First off, when we talk about carbs, most Americans get that in the form of simple or highly processed carbohydrates. So your white bread, your chips, your crackers, your cookies, that sort of thing. So we're looking for opportunities to pull back on those because they're really not offering a lot of nutritional bang for your buck, and make them a treat that we can enjoy sometimes, but it's not something that's contributing to your health. But there are lots of opportunities, even if you're gluten-free or you're avoiding gluten. Many of these over here are naturally gluten-free. Rice, naturally gluten-free. Oats, naturally gluten-free. Quinoa, and corn. Cornmeal is naturally gluten-free. So there's lots of opportunities to get. You can see there's lots of benefits there. Whole grains, we want to get that in, especially when we're talking about colorectal cancer. We want to make sure that we look for opportunities to get those. Now, this is something that I like to talk to my patients about because especially if you've been eating a very low fiber diet for a while, or you have other conditions like IBS or turn into something else. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater with breaks. So I'm going to show you a couple of tricks really quick on how to do that quickly. We're going to move forward one. Thank you, Tim. We're going to make a tostada. Anybody familiar with tostadas? They are so easy. This is called, I like to use this for it's a clean up fridge time, or what I call the half scratch hack. So I'm going to use a lot of convenience foods to make something that's really, really fast. But I also want you to imagine, what if you made dinner last night, you had some greens in there, instead of cooking from scratch, can I repurpose leftovers to reduce food waste and add it into a tostada? So the recipe on the back side has a whole bunch of alternate versions. What if you're around the holidays and you got so much turkey, you're so sick of leftovers, would you repurpose that into this tostada? So, and also in here, I give you options. You kind of like choose your own adventure. Do you want to make your own refried beans from scratch? Or do you want to use canned beans? That's totally fine. Look for options. You can get a vegetarian bean or something with less salt. That's great. Do you want to use a packaged tostada? Or can you, it shows you how you can make your own tostada from corn tortillas really quick. This is a fried option. Sometimes you can find them baked. But we're still getting lots and lots of nutrition, so you can choose your own adventure. So this is something that you can whip up in like 10 minutes or less in one pot if you need to, especially if you're reusing something from the fridge. So I'm going to use a little bit of oil here. Got my oil. And I'm going to skip ahead in the recipe. I'm going to go ahead and add, I have, at home, I have half a package of one of those salad kits that have a lot of cabbage in it. So I'm just going to add that in. There we go. So I'm going to cook these down just a little bit. And then I have a bag of kale. So I'm going to throw that in here. What if you have mustard greens? What if you have Swiss chard? What if you have something else? You can use whatever you have on hand. Spinach works great too. Another thing that I have is a convenience product, folks, is, it's starting to melt. This is frozen tricolor onion and bell pepper. I got this at Kroger. Y'all seen this? Like I said, could you cut up leftover vegetables? Or you're like, okay, we made sweet potato chili and we had some leftover bell pepper. So I'm just going to add about a half a cup of this convenience product. So you can make this completely no chop. If you either don't want to, or maybe you have someone in your family they can't chop. So I like to tell people, do you have to be a culinary genius? Do you have to have a lot of skill to make something nutritious for yourself and your family? What do y'all think?
No.
These are simple techniques that can be made to work for anybody. Another convenience product that I like, this is a great use for leftover rice. But I don't know, have y'all seen these pouches, 90 seconds in the microwave, and they have some blends with lentils, blends with quinoa. This is a quinoa and brown rice blend. Again, you could use leftover rice, whatever. All right, I'm going to take, while this is cooking, this takes just a few minutes to cook down. I'm going to add just a little bit of water. And I'm going to add a little bit of cumin, because y'all might not have guessed, I love cumin. It's going to add some smokiness here. I'm going to add a little bit in there. And a little bit. Let's see. Ooh. Oh, it's right here. Imagine I added some of that. It's potatoes. It needs to be open. A little bit of pepper. Well, anyway, magic of television mode. Okay, just a little bit of salt. This is going to cook down for just a minute. All right, Ashley, I'm going to have you like prep a tostada there for me. And then she's going to move that a little bit. You will take a little bit of those beans, just put a thin layer of bean on there. Now, if you want the recipe to make your own refried beans with any kind of beans is in that recipe. So it's really easy. You have a little bit of onion, you saute garlic, whatever spices you like. I like to add a little bit of smoked paprika. We've kind of already talked about my passion for smoked paprika here. And then you saute that, and then you pour the beans in, and you mash that out alongside, and then they're ready to go. I know they got a little. You know what? stuffed tostadas?
Top them on a salad.
Put them on?
With that.
Yes! How can we, what's an opportunity to taste them? That's what we're talking about. I'm gonna let this cook for just another moment while she finishes those beans. So we're gonna put a thin layer of this rice on there. So when we get all of this, with just what's on the recipe, we're looking at, so one tostada is only about 250 calories.
That's right.
And then we've got 7 grams of fiber. So where is the dietary fiber coming from in this recipe? What do we think?
Beans.
Beans!
I wasn't even here.
We love beans. We've got beans, we've got beans, we've got all of these greens. The greens, especially the cabbage in here. I do love using cabbage. We'll be fancy here. Sprinkle just a little bit of this rice on the top. Now the thing I like about the tostada is you put those beans down, it's kind of like the glue.
Absolutely.
Everything sticks. But sometimes with the taco will turn. Now why do we have to,
Yeah.
we don't need that. I mean, tacos are great. I don't want just tacos. I also do like tacos.
I
But anyway,
love
yes, who likes tacos?
I love
Like
it.
tacos. So let's talk about some of your favorite dishes, and hopefully you've seen how we're taking something familiar and then giving it a little bit of a twist. So let's talk about tacos. Typical taco is going to be, you have a tortilla, may or may not be corn, might be white flour tortilla. So there's one opportunity there. You switch to the whole grain, but you get dietary fiber with the corn tortilla. You're not going to get any fiber with the one. What else do we have in the taco?
What you got?
Tomatoes, lettuce,
Yeah, so on top,
onions.
yeah,
Sour cream.
but usually meat, right?
Yes, yeah.
Right, so let's look first off, what can we add to a taco, concepts we're talking about here?
Well, the black beans, obviously.
Yeah, beans, people associate beans with Mexican food, Tex-Mex food. So I like to talk about beans and vegetables as a meat extender. Instead of putting a pound of ground beef in your taco meat, cut that back to half, add in beans.
Yes.
Add in some cooked red bell pepper.
Yes.
Maybe, I'll tell you a little trick. Who doesn't like mushrooms? Anybody doesn't like mushrooms?
Oh, I don't.
What's the thing you don't like about mushrooms?
It's the texture, slimy.
Texture.
It's,
About 90% of the people who tell me they don't like mushrooms, it's usually texture.
Yes.
If you chop that mushroom up and cook it along with the ground beef, it sort of blends into the beef.
Yeah.
Now, I see some people are like, no, I don't want to do that. So we're talking about making changes. Maybe that's not where you want to start. Are you open to adding beans in? Are you open to changing up the tortilla? Another thing that we're going to talk about is instead of sour cream, what about plain
the
Greek
mushroom,
yogurt?
a fresh
It's
mushroom.
about the same texture, and have you all tried that switch? So an advantage, when you're switching from sour cream to plain Greek yogurt, what are some of the advantages of that? I'll show you.
Higher protein, you have hardly any fat, because there's so many Greek yogurts that are 0 fat. Majority of Greek yogurts have those live active bacteria that Milette was talking about. So gut healthy, we're really focusing on feeding our bacteria in our guts. There's no sugar in plain Greek yogurt, so lots of benefits.
Yeah.
To changing yogurt.
So we've got this tostada. It came together really fast.
Throw it out.
The thing that I like about tostada night at my house, you can put out all the stuff, and then people can choose their own adventure. You're like, okay, you as the parent might say, okay, you have to choose some column A, column B, and then whatever topping you want is fine. Still, I like to present choices that I choose for my kids. Just like you might have like, okay, but the more children feel like they have a hand in preparing their own food, the more likely they are to accept it. And I always say, don't give up. If you show something to a child or us, 1 time, 2 times, sometimes the research shows 8 to 10 times. Just give them exposure. Like, okay, maybe we want to smell it today. Maybe you want to just touch it with your tongue today. No judgment. Yes.
A friend of mine during COVID, I wasn't feeling well. I was like, I don't have an appetite, but I need to eat. And she recommended taco soup.
Oh, okay.
So I made it for myself. I thought. I live with my parents.
Okay.
That spoon kept dipping in that pot.
So they like it too.
Oh, that's, yeah, and it's just fresh ingredients with the black beans and all of that. Taco soup is so amazing.
Well, I think you're probably gonna have to share the recipe.
I'll get it.
I know the congregation, hey, who else wants that taco soup recipe?
Yeah.
You didn't talk to them too much. You stole
I just
it.
have to make it for you. No, I'll get the recipe.
No problem. We love it. I think we can share that maybe, Tamara. All right, we're wrapping up. We're here. I'm gonna sell it and bring it home, hopefully. I'm gonna top this chili here with a little bit of plain Greek yogurt. We have some leftover jalapenos. So we'll throw a little jalapeno on there. Why not? You could put shredded cheese. You could put avocado. I like adding a little bit of fat, and I also tell people when you're making soup or chili, don't taste it and judge the spice level when it's hot in the pot. You want to put it a little bit in the side and set it because the flavor is really right. It's got to be a little closer. At that hot temperature, boiling, you're not in a true sense. Just like ice cream tastes better after you let it sit for 5 minutes or so out of the fridge, same thing with chili. So don't judge it, and then if it seems too hot or something's uneven, a little bit of fat will also help transfer those flavors. Okay, we're gonna wrap up here. So these are the recommendations from the American Institute of Cancer Research that Simmons Cancer Center uses. A lot of these things you've already heard, folks. You know, be a healthy weight for your frame, moving your body, finding a way to move your body every day. Does it have to mean you put on track shoes and run it an hour? No. Whatever makes sense for you. That could be, you know, you're sitting at home watching television, maybe during the commercials, you stand up and walk in place, or you move your feet. Find a way to make it work in a safe way for you where you're at now. We're talking about eating lots of color, whole grains, vegetables, fruits, and beans, what today's all about. Looking for opportunities to pull back on red and processed meat. We didn't really talk about sugar, but maybe take a moment to rethink your drink. You know, do you enjoy a Dr. Pepper occasionally just for the flavor? Could there be an opportunity to switch to something else or make sure we're getting non-calorie beverages? Limit consumption of fast food and other processed foods that are going to be higher in fat, those problematic starches or sugars. We talked about alcohol. We talked about, I also do want to talk about supplements really briefly as we wrap up. A lot of folks get on the internet, they hear, oh, I can take this or that. There is no recommendation from our body for a supplement that prevents cancer, but I wish there was. I promise you, if I knew of it, I would tell you. I'd gladly give up my job tomorrow if we had something I could tell people to avoid this horrible disease, but there isn't. So all of these other guidelines this is what guidelines show us that we have the best benefit for risk reduction. Moving forward, this is what we like your plate to look like. Half of your plate, non-starchy fruits and vegetables. A good amount of healthy protein, your whole grains, and water is an option. Moving forward. I don't know if this video is going to play. We might have to send this video. I don't think it's going to play.
You have to do it from the computer.
Yeah, well, y'all, we'll send this to you, so you can watch that. This is culinary medicine in motion. If we can't watch it today, you can also find that if you search Oak Cliff Culinary Medicine, you can watch that video on YouTube. Let's move forward. All right, I do want to leave you with a few resources moving forward. Thank you, Tamara, you're killing it. So this is a great tool that I use. What do I have in my pantry? What can I make with a meal? So I really like this website, Dr. Young, dryoung.org. You can type in, this is what I have in my pantry. What can I make with this? Sometimes just trying the mental energy, the mental load of trying to figure out what to make is a lot. Moving forward. I really like, these are our friends called a program called Chef San Antonio. And they have really great recipes that are in English and Spanish, along with videos. They do a lot of cool things like, what if you only have a microwave? What if you're disabled? So they have a lot of really great options that we believe that cooking for health is accessible to almost anybody. So if you check out chefsa.org or just Chef San Antonio, you can find that. Okay, really. I just want to point out as we wrap up, folks, that There's lots of opportunities to add things to what you're already doing and just being consistent. Look for colorful, plant-focused foods. You can make a cancer-fighting pantry that serves you and your family be affordable. You can make things that are delicious. It can be accessible. It's going to taste great. And also, I hope you feel empowered today. We talked about small changes you can make that can make a big difference in your impact for cardiovascular disease and cancer. Little small things that you can do today to make a big difference in health. All right, that's our presentation, folks. Thank you.
Great job, great job.
All right. We're not leaving anytime soon, so if you all have questions.
I do, so I can add to the description on this particular YouTube.
Sure.
Could you spell how do we find you on YouTube? You said cooking with.
So cooking with, and then just my first name, Milette, Milette.
I'll find it.
Yes,
Okay.
and Tamara can also connect you with all of those resources.
Can you text that to me? Milett.
Yes.
E.
Milette. You might have to text it to me. 51.
Yes, Tamara has all of my contact information, so she'll be happy to pass on any of this and any other resources that we discussed that are of interest. So please feel free to reach out to your leadership that organized today, and we'll make sure you're connected with resources. Again, you have all of the recipes, you have the Mediterranean diet handout with all of the recommendations for how you can put that into practice for you today. That's me. That's it's right there. Listen, my mother did it to me. I don't know. That's the name she picked. This little child came out.
Y'all give her a hand. Give her a hand. Thank you.